Hello everyone, my name is Jean Dubreuil and I'm going to present you a Java card attack named phi-attack. This work has been performed jointly in the SAMA laboratory and in the ANSI laboratory. The SAMA laboratory performs many security evaluations of Java card platforms, and we are always searching new vulnerabilities that could affect this kind of product. So, this presentation is split in two main parts. We will perform a short recall of the Java card technology with a focus on parts that will be involved in our attack. And the second part will detail the attack and how to prevent it. Java card is a small virtual machine specified by Oracle. This technology is intended to be used on secure elements that are usually resource-constrained devices. The Java card virtual machine allows several applications to be loaded onto the same device while being segregated by a firewall, preventing an application from accessing to data belonging to other applications. Today, most of the Java card products implements the Java card specification 3.0.5. Application loading is specified by global platform. Several entities are involved when a new application is loaded in a Java card product. We first have the issuer of the card. He is fully trusted as he is the owner of the card and he can load new applications as he has authorized management rights, which is defined by global platform. Then we have the verification authority, which is in charge of verifying that an application intended to be loaded cannot lead to break the security model. The verification authority performs this verification based on security guidance that comes along with the product. Typical rule is to execute the bytecode verifier (BCV) from Oracle Development Kit, ensuring that the application is well-formed. The verification authority has a specific key inside the card which is used to ensure that the loaded application has been successfully checked and signed. And finally, we have the application developer, which produces the application. If the developer can be trusted, we can assume that the application cannot be malicious. But if it cannot be trusted, only verification performed by the verification authority prevents from loading a malicious application. The application developer provides to the verification authority the cap file and the export file of its application. The cap file is the main file that contains the application code in a compiled format. Only the cap file is loaded onto the smart card. The export file contains public data on the application, and this file is used by the BCV when performing its checks, and by the converter when a package imports another package. In order to introduce our attack, we first need to focus on two previous works. The first one is malicious code on Java card smart card, presented in 2008. Among several attack methods introduced in this paper, we can find the idea of using the variable interfaces in order to obtain a type confusion. The principle is the following. We have a server application providing any kind of service, and we have a client application using this service. However, the client is compiled using a modified version of the server export file. This allows, for instance, to modify the method signature of the services, and with such ability, the client application can perform type confusion attacks. This attack can be countered because the verification authority keeps export files associated with loaded cap files. Therefore, before loading the client application, the bytecode verifier detects that the wrong export file has been used. We keep on the second paper, which is accessing secure information using export file fraudulence, presented in 2013. This time, authors assume that a malicious developer loads a set of valid packages that reproduce the standard JavaCard API, and export files of these packages are given to a targeted victim developer. This leads to perform a man-in-the-middle attack, allowing to catch any call to methods of the JavaCard API. This allows, for instance, to retrieve the value of the cryptographic keys used by the victim. This attack can be detected by the verification authority when checking the application of the victim by analyzing specifically the import component. Indeed, the victim will not import the standard JavaCard API, but will import the package of the malicious developer, and this is not expected. Moreover, even before performing the verification phase, the difficulty here is to force the victim developer to use export files from the malicious developer. Indeed, it is expected that export files are directly taken from the JavaCard development kit from the Oracle website. Methods described in these two papers do not directly attack the implementation of the JavaCard virtual machine, but rather the organizational measures that comes along with the product. We will now see that FIA attack has a common philosophy. However, there will be no need to modify files and no need to target a specific victim. Indeed, the malicious developer provides a set of packages sufficient by themselves to perform the attack. Moreover, the verification authority is not able to detect the malicious construction if he only uses the bytecode verifier and if malicious developer provides its export files in version 2.2, which is the format specified in the JavaCard specification 3.0.5. So, this attack comes from an analysis of the JavaCard specifications. Two file formats are used in the JavaCard technology, the cap file and the export file. As said before, the cap file contains the application code and is loaded onto the product. The export file contains all the needed data to generate a cap file and to verify it when a package imports another one. According to the JavaCard specification, there is an asymmetry between these two files. Indeed, when an application needs to import another package, the imported package is referenced by its AID value in the cap file, but in the export file, the fully qualified name is used to reference the package. The attack will use this asymmetry to induce errors during the checks performed by the bytecode verifier. Okay, so let's consider two packages. They both have the same name, which is library. However, each one has a different AID value, deadbeef 01 and deadbeef 02. In each package, one class is defined with one method called confusion. In both classes, the method return type is object. However, in the first class, the method takes an object as parameter and directly returns it, and in the second class, the method takes a short and returns the null value. At this point, everything is fine, and this construction is fully compliant with the specifications, and the bytecode verifier validates these two packages. We now add a third package named proxy. The AID of this package does not matter here. Proxy package imports the first library package, and the phyproxy class inherits from phy class. This means that in the cab file of proxy package, the library package is imported using deadbeef01 AID, and in export file, the imported package is only referenced by its name, which is, in this case, library. At this point, everything is still correct. And finally, a last package is created. This package imports two packages. It imports library, but library with deadbeef02 AID, and it imports proxy package. An instance of phyproxy class is created. Thanks to the inheritance mechanism, this instance can be stored in a variable of type phy. On this instance, the confusion method is called. And if we want to understand what is happening here, we need to analyze 2 points of view: the bytecode verifier point of view and the JavaCard runtime environment point of view. So let's start with the BCV view. When creating a phyproxy instance, the bytecode verifier is able to retrieve the class definition from the proxy package. Then, this instance is stored in a variable of type phy. The BCV searches this class from the import table of the cap file. The class is found in the library package with deadbeef02 AID. From the BCV point of view, everything is fine, as phyproxy class inherits from a class called phy in a package named library. Therefore, when the confusion method is called, the BCV expects that this method takes a short as parameter and returns a reference. Moreover, it is expected that the return value must be the null value. On the other hand, the import table of proxy package references package library with deadbeef01 AID corresponding to the package containing the mother class phy. Thus, at runtime, the JavaCard virtual machine will use this package instead of using the package with deadbeef02 AID. Therefore, when the phyproxy instance is created, the virtual machine finds the class definition in proxy package, and it finds the superclass definition in library package with deadbeef01 AID. Then, when storing the reference in variable p, the virtual machine does not perform supplementary checks, as this is an implicit cast which has been already verified by the BCV. Therefore, the storage is performed with a simple store bytecode. And finally, when the confusion method is called, the virtual machine actually executes the method from package library with deadbeef01 AID, as the instance actually inherits from the class of this package. Therefore, the method takes the parameter given and returns it as an object type, and the short value given as parameter is actually returned as an object reference value. Thus, when executing this piece of code, a type confusion is obtained. Also, the bytecode verifier stated that the loaded cap file are well formed. So, this is the principle of the phi attack, and we saw how to perform a type confusion. But in fact, we can apply this principle to obtain other exploitations. For instance, we have used our own packages, but we can do the same with any class of the JavaCard standard API. We can even do this with object class, meaning creating a fake object class with the ability to create two distinct inheritance trees. However, loading a new object class is often forbidden by the virtual machine, as this class has specific fields value that are usually checked during cap file loading. Moreover, we can go deeper. Indeed, our two phi classes have the same number of methods, but we could design two classes with a different number of methods, and this could lead to call a method that actually does not exist. This would lead to perform an overflow in the class method table, allowing to execute arbitrary code by the attacker. This will be also very interesting. However, this attack path is very dependent of the internal representation of the cap file by the virtual machine, making this principle less interesting to exploit. To summarize, this attack is not detected as malicious by the bytecode verifier, but this is only because the bytecode verifier does not have access to the necessary data in order to perform a full verification between the imported package name and its AID value. And this is only possible when using export file format in version 2.2. However, we only present how to obtain a type confusion or Stack Overflow and so on. We did not present a full exploitation, as the state of the art of JavaCard attacks is filled with attack exploiting a type confusion or Stack Overflow. But these attacks are detected by the bytecode verifier. Combined with our attack, all these attacks can be used by a malicious application developer without being detected by the bytecode verifier. Good news is this attack can be detected quite easily. The AID consistency of imported packages must be carefully checked, and to do that, there are two options. The first one is the following. The verification authority may check the AID values with a dedicated tool that performs these checks. And the second option is to force the usage of export files in version 2.3. In this format, imported packages are referenced by their name, but also by their AID. This export file version has been recently specified in JavaCard 3.1, and this file version can also be used on older JavaCard versions. This last option is the best, but it needs to migrate all the export files to the 2.3 format, which could be difficult to deploy on products already in the field. Indeed, public packages does not have all their export files in version 2.3 publicly available. For instance, the Global Platform API is not yet available in version 2.3. And that's it. Thank you for your attention, and feel free to contact us if you have any question.